What's up, y'all? Today we got some informational-ish. We got a history of Kamen Rider. This is the entire lore explained. This is what I needed, because I was looking at it and I'm kind of lost on these things. But we're about to hear the full story of how Kamen Rider came to be. We're gonna be here for 45 minutes, so grab some popcorn, go make some chicken nuggets in the air fryer, some waffle fries, get some honey mustard too, get some water, and let's sit back and enjoy. You guys get to spend 45 minutes with me today, with your big Uncle Ron. Some informational stuff. 1971.
This day would introduce a series that has managed to thrive for the next
50 years is crazy. Hold on, that's a little cold. Let me set the vibe for y'all. Alright, there we go. We got it nice and warm in here now.
In 1970, mangaka Shotaro Ishinomori published a 100-page one-shot in Kodansha's weekly shonen magazine. This story, entitled Skull Man, tells the story of Tatsuo Kagura, who, following the murders of his parents, sets out to avenge their deaths using incredible powers that he received from the past experimentation on him. As he goes on his quest for blood, Tatsuo uses his powerful physical and psychic abilities to fight against the Syndicate. In the time after its release, Ishinomori would call this one-shot his own personal version of this story. A story that would be remade in the 90s and
the Skull Man. Oh, that's some fire. That's a fire cover. What is it? Anime of it?
Suggested, but eventually workshopped heavily by Ishinomori, producer Toru Hariyama, and a group of veteran tokusatsu writers to develop what we now know as. In the first installment of the Rider franchise.
So Skull Rider. I said Skull Rider. Skull Man was the first Kamen Rider. Well, he wasn't. Skullman was Skullman, and then turned into Kamen Rider.
Takeshi Hongo and Hayato Ichimonji, Riders 1 and 2 respectively. At the beginning of this series, we introduced Takeshi Hongo, an active motorcycle racer, scientist, and a college kid with an IQ of over 600. Takeshi
smart
Hongo
guy.
was played by 25-year-old Hiroshi Fujioka. Despite being in numerous works since the beginning of his acting career in 1965, this would prove to be his breakout role. One day while motorcycling, Hongo is abducted by Shocker. This evil organization's goal is world domination.
I heard about Shocker, the Nazi guy.
They kidnapped Hongo along with countless others in an attempt to make an army of cyborg warriors loyal only to Shocker. Before the organization can brainwash Hongo, a kind doctor named Midorikawa frees him. The doctor is killed by another Shocker cyborg during their escape attempt. Hongo vows that he will avenge the doctor's death and fight against Shocker, all in the name of Kamen Rider. The first 14 episodes of this series
so it's all about revenge and getting back.
He learned to control his abilities, all while fighting Shocker's cyborg warriors. However, this wouldn't last. While filming episode 10, Fujioka fractured his thigh bone during a motorcycle stunt. This injury jeopardized the production, and would ensure from that moment onwards, Kamen Rider Productions would not have their main stars doing their own dangerous stunts. This setback, along with poor ratings, threatened to end the show early. That is, unless something changed.
The downfall of the show was happening?
Scrambled to cast the
it was all going downhill.
As Hayato Ichimonji. This new hero would be introduced on July 3rd, 1971, in the series' 14th episode entitled The Devilish Kaktoguran Attacks. It's explained that Ichimonji was saved by Hongo on his westward fight against Shocker, and was asked to protect Japan. The next 35 episodes would star Sasaki's Rider as Fujioka healed.
So they had to change actors?
The new Kamen Rider, Nigo, number 2, had a new design, with a white striped black helmet.
They had to change it because he hurt himself.
A definitive green. Nigo would also introduce several
sounds like nigga
series, including the iconic Henshin pose, which involved Ichimonji jumping into the air after posing to activate the wind turbines on his belt. Unlike Hongo, who would have to use his motorcycle.
So that's what Henshin means. I always wondered that.
There was also a heightened focus on the supporting cast, the Tachibana Racing Club, which had Yuri and her little brother Goro. The Sasaki-led Kamen Rider continued strong, well past when Fujioka was well enough to return to the series. Instead, he would pursue other roles, with his reintroduction to the series being in a 2-episode team-up spanning episodes 40 to 41. Takeshi Hongo would appear again in episode 51, before he would become a permanent member of the series until his conclusion in February of the next year. Throughout the series, the Riders battle the evil Shocker organization together. After the Double Riders defeat the group, Shocker joins forces with another terrorist.
So the original Kamen Rider came back while the second one was there, so that's why there's 2.
Lasting to nearly 100 episodes.
Oh man.
So Hongo and Ichimonji died in an explosion. Okay.
They
maybe
died.
I'm a little ahead of myself. After the end of Kamen Rider, a new series began. This new series would be entitled Kamen Rider V3. And introduce a new rider, that being the titular Kamen Rider V3. After Shiro Kazami witnesses a murder at the hands of an evil new syndicate, he is slowly hunted. The organization, Destron, shares the same goals as the former Gel Shocker, making them a considerable foe. Kazami
so there's new enemies now.
Riders, who would then beg them to give their
but they got the same motives.
Kazami may avenge his family's death. Reluctantly, the riders agree, but during the process, they are attacked, which is when they blow up. Kazami, now Kamen Rider V3, would protect Japan. So remember that part earlier where I said that Hongo and Ichimonji died in an explosion?
Yup, like 30 seconds ago.
Man,
Man, you're just making stuff up. They didn't die.
Him to battle Destron in Japan as they go overseas. This is exactly what V3 does.
Well, they just left.
Over the 53 episode run of the show, Kazami does his best in fighting Destron. Much like Ichigo, you wouldn't have to do this alone.
Yeah, did they show Shocker? What he looks like?
Toei Tachibana, whose role would be reprised by Akiji Kobayashi, who acted as a mentor to the riders and taught Kazami how to ride a motorcycle. In episode 43, he makes a new friend in Joji Yuki, played by Takahisha Yamaguchi. Yuki, a Destron scientist, is condemned to death as Martial Armor sees him as a
Ew, who is that?
within Destron.
Yuki
is saved and flees, but not before his right arm is taken by sulfuric acid. He vows to get revenge on Martial Armor, at first clashing with V3, but later joining him in his fight against Destron. Yuki would become Rider Man, the fourth Kamen Rider. His introduction would bring about the start of different forms or weapons through the use of his multiple cassette arms.
Oh, so he's kind of revolutionizing the Kamen Rider image
Although this would be the first
with weapons and stuff.
Miyauchi was a part of, it would not be his last. Over the years, he would reprise his role as Kazami, but would also go on to star in series like Himitsu Sentai Gorenja as Aorenja, Jaka Dengekitai as Big One, and Uchu Keishigaban as Aran. V3's powers would differ from his predecessors, as the power of the Double Typhoon and his Hurricane would present the 26 secrets of V3, of which 15 are seen in the show. The story of Kamen Rider and Kamen Rider V3 would be retold in the 2005 and 2007 films Kamen Rider the First and Kamen Rider the Next.
These are the movies of it.
Inoue were much more melodramatic in comparison, and featured a love triangle plot in the first and a Rider homage in the next. It's really weird. V3 proved to be even more popular than its predecessor and aided in the continuation of the
So V3 is where it started picking up a little. And then Kamen Rider X is next.
The third installment
that kind of rhymed.
Would come in 1974's Kamen Rider X. One day, Kaisuke Jin, the son of a prolific scientist, had his life turned upside down after a failed assassination attempt. What's even crazier, it was his fiancée who attempted it.
She tried to, his fiancée tried to get him out of there. She checked his phone or something.
Underwater base and is transformed into a cyborg warrior, Kamen Rider X. This new fifth rider would fight God while unraveling the mystery of just why Ryoka betrayed him. This rider would also bring along a few firsts. This would be the first rider to stray from the grasshopper motif, as X was.
I like the outfit though. The outfit is pretty gas.
First would be Ryo Hayami, as this would be his first hero show, but not his first time in a monster picture, as he was previously in Gamera vs. Jiger. To differentiate X from the previous four riders, this new hero was given a weapon, the Rydle stick. This would be pulled out of his belt, named the Rydle. X's transformation was different to previous riders as well. As for the first half of the series, he would transform by equipping the Redizer and Perfector, calling out "set up" and not "henshin." After an encounter with V3, he was given the Mercury Circuit, and his pose and phrase would change to the more conventional Dai Henshin or Great Transformation.
So now he got a henshin. That's
fire
fire how they jump and then hit that dive.
Go to the next series.
What, 100 likes and I'll hit the henshin dive. I'll attempt it. I'm lying. I'm gonna break my neck trying to do that. This is the Amazon one.
The story starts when a young Daisuke survives a plane crash that left him an orphan in the Amazon rainforest. Before he could be consumed by the vast jungle, he is saved and raised by the last of the Incas. He would simply be named Amazon thereafter. But one day, his village is massacred by the leader of Jidan, Jumenki Gorgos. Amazon receives a Gigi armlet from his dying mentor, Elder Bago, which allows him to transform into Kamen Rider Amazon. Amazon would travel to Japan to fight Giron, where the man who he is told by Bago to meet immediately dies. So now he vows to avenge him and to protect his family, while learning Japanese along the way. The role
This
of
one seems
Kamen
cool.
Amazon would be given to Toro Kazaki, who was fresh off his
Real life
starring role in the
Tarzan.
series Blitz Strata 5. There were no auditions for the role of Amazon, but instead, the role was given to Okazaki after recommendation by Yoshinori Watanabe, the vice president of Toei. The short runtime of Amazon can partially be attributed to numerous letters of complaints sent in by parents. These would range from the violence shown on TV,
Wait a minute.
stem from Amazon's enemies being delimbed, decapitated, and cut apart, which led to a lot of fluid gushes.
Oh, man.
But I'm not sure.
The parents
Some
weren't letting their
complained
kids
about
watch this and said it was
Amazon's
too
outfit,
violent.
as he has shown shirtless numerous times in the series. These complaints and low viewership would lead to the swift ending of the show.
Oh,
After the
nah.
quick ending of Amazon,
So this one wasn't for kids.
in the drama,
Kids were sneaking and watching
he would
this.
be injured during a motorcycle accident. This injury, along with his belief that he was the reason Amazon was a failure, would have him retire from the acting industry in 1976.
He gave
was
up.
offered a cameo in Skyrider for episode 30.
So that means
However, he
the
declined
stunts
as
are
it was
real if they're getting hurt.
It wouldn't be until the release of his autobiography in
'Cause that's the second
2005
one to get
that he would
hurt.
have a public spotlight. Although he never returned to on-screen writer projects, Okazaki would appear for anniversary events. He has since appeared
He got the
on many
do-rag
talk shows
on. My son
discussing his
feeling
life
fresh
and
with
his
it.
own
And this
works.
guy's bald.
Amazon differed from the previous series in that he would turn into a reptilian-like creature given the name of Kamen Rider through the use of the armlet and not his belt. Though the Kamen Riders are mentioned from the first episode, they wouldn't all appear until the next entry of the series.
Kamen Rider stronger.
Okay, stop me if you heard this one before. A mysterious organization with plans for world domination creates an army of cyborg warriors to fulfill their master plan. However,
I heard that before, so stop.
There are recruitments. This is what led
Stop.
Shigeru Joe to join Black Satan after the death of his best friend, Goro. However, this was all a trick because he knew that Black Satan killed his friend to get him to sign up. So he signed up actually not to join them, but instead fight them. And
So he went straight to him like, what's up? What y'all wanna do?
Got the late greats Shigeru Araki and Kyoko Kodak to play Shigeru Joe and Yuriko Masaki, respectively. Shigeru Araki would land his first acting role in this series, with his only prior experience being a model for commercial work. It was either this or becoming Aka Ranger in Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger,
Hey.
and because of the popularity of Rider at this point, he decided on that. This
You
would
did.
not be
He had to
for
chase the
Okada,
bag.
actually appeared in the previous
You gotta
year
go where the
film
money's at.
Gumi Gaiden, Hitoriki Shitai, or Violent Fraternity. Following the steps of X and Amazon, each hero would be based on a different animal, with Stronger modeled after a rhinoceros beetle and Tackle after a ladybug. Throughout the series,
you know
Stronger was, well, stronger
a
than
dung
majority
beetle
of
is the
his
strongest
opponents, thanks to
animal
the electric-based
on
cybernetic
Earth.
enhancements.
Fun
However,
fact.
at the midpoint of this series, Joe would be matched by the power of the Delza army. After the loss of his partner and facing overwhelming
Oh, man,
odds, he was
RIP.
given the super electric dynamo, which can increase his power 100-fold through his charge up. However,
Okay.
with his power came a great weakness. Joe's body couldn't handle the amount of power this form could generate.
Too strong
so he
for
had
his
one
own
minute
good,
timer to
almost like
expel
me.
the energy before he would explode. Although
Dang.
previous riders would be
Just
upgraded and
exploded?
enhanced, Stronger would be the first to exhibit an alternate form when using this power, creating a true prototype for the modern-day final form. To end this series in episode 35 to 39, the 6 previous riders would appear. In the final episode, Goodbye the Glorious Seven.
Yo, what are the
Riders.
best
All
Kamen
7
Rider
riders teamed up
shows?
together to defeat the leader of the Delza army, who was revealed to have been a great
We got
leader
a-
of all the
a
previous
rock
groups the
monster?
riders have fought before. That wouldn't quite be the end of the original 7 riders, as a week later the special Altogether 7 Kamen Riders aired, which also served as a clip show of all the Kamen Riders before it. This special feature was not really a final fight.
So
for
all the
riders,
OG Kamen
but
Riders
instead
came
kind of
back
exhibition
for this
match
one.
where, although the battle against Delza has been won, the riders find themselves fighting the Great General of Darkness, who attacks a local rider stage show with his revived monsters. It's really cheesy,
I'm not-
and though not a proper send out to the riders and Toby Tachibana compared to episode 39, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks fun. All out brawl. Everybody, you better. You get hit from anywhere. You better duck.
This follows Toby Tachibana visiting a rider museum and explaining the stories of the Kamen Riders. He shows off the rider belts in the collection, but he doesn't seem to recognize a particular.
So Kamen Rider's like
Well, that's because
famous
it
over
belongs
here.
to-
Kamen Rider Sky Rider.
The New Kamen Rider, or as it was originally titled, Kamen Rider. It served as a revival of the Rider series, which was originally intended as a reboot. It has since been retroactively named Sky Rider to fit with the Rider's name, but also not to confuse it with the original series. The series would follow Hiroshi Tsukuba, an avid hang glider. The role of the titular hero would be played by Hiroaki Murakami, who is also now known for his Jidai Geki films. One day while hang gliding, he witnesses a highway attack. Hiroshi swoops in and tries to help the victim, a professor named Keito Shido. After fighting off the assailants, Hiroshi finds that all of his friends have been killed by a gang, revealing the terrorist organization known as Neo Shocker.
How many they got?
Shido would be kidnapped along with Hiroshi, and during an attempted escape,
he crashed. He crashed the V. Get up, boy.
Into Kamen Rider. This new locust-like rider declares that he will
So some of them are made into Kamen Rider.
The hero of the series would be called Kamen Rider for a few episodes, until he was given the name Sky Rider by Stronger in his episode 19 appearance. From then on, Sky Rider would battle the forces of Neo Shocker, sometimes with the assistance of Kaiji Yada, also known as Ganganji, who provided comedic relief for the show, as well as
you always gotta have a funny character. I thought he was about to get hit by a car. You always gotta have somebody to make people laugh in the dark times. This one can fly.
Such as the sailing jump. Towards the end of the series, the original 7 riders would appear to lend a helping hand.
Oh yeah, I like how they all just form together like the Avengers.
Sky Riders permanently upgraded with brighter colors and brand new moves. All 8 riders team up to defeat the leader of Neo Shocker, seemingly sacrificing themselves.
A brawl. So they died? He said they sacrificed themselves.
Since the advent of proposed spaceflight. In this Kamen Rider series, it is not a dream, but is very close to becoming reality. The protagonist of the series is Kazuya Oki, played by Shunsuke Takasugi, in his first on-screen role. Kazuya dreams of becoming an astronaut, and is so dedicated that he volunteers himself for cybernetic enhancements that would allow him to function without a large clunky.
And then guess what? He got turned into Kamen Rider.
Under the codename Super One.
Super One.
Surgery, the base is raided by a group calling themselves the Dogma Kingdom. Many, if not all the scientists, are captured and executed. Kazuya, the one who was able to flee this, returns to Japan vowing that he will use his cybernetic powers to avenge the deaths of the scientists. Super One would defeat both the Dogma Kingdom and the Jin Dogma through the use of his 5 hands, different gloves akin to that of Rider-Man's cassette arms, all of which are used for different situations. Along with these is his transformation belt.
So he has like adaptable gloves.
The Super One suit is
I like this suit. I like this.
In the sharp ends of his eyes. Super One is the first rider whose powers were not meant to be used as a weapon, as instead of its intended use as space exploration, it would be used to save those on the Earth. Due to this, Kazuya would have to train for an extended period of time, in which he learned martial arts, which could be a factor to the many rider kicks Super One demonstrates throughout the series. Oh, by the way, the first 8 riders turned out to not have died at all, as they went on to have a small role in the Super One
so
movie.
they didn't die.
Eventually, after Kazuya avenges all of
Yo, this narrator is playing with us. He's trying to trick our brains, but we're too smart for that, right, guys?
Would also partake on his own quest, that being scamming millions of yen from Kamen Rider fans over 10 years, disappearing off the face of the earth when he was summoned to court. Nice.
He was scamming his fans and then just disappeared.
2 years after the conclusion of Super One, the actions of a
how could you scam the fans? You wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them. Knucklehead. I like how there's just more and more riders.
The brother and sister team of Ryo and Shizuka Murasame travel to investigate, ending up in a crash and a kidnapping. Shizuka dies and Ryo is completely remodeled and brainwashed into a weapon for the group, known as Z-Cross. After an incident, Ryo's memories return, and he gets rightfully pretty angry. From this point on, Z-Cross would team up with the previous 9 riders to fight against Badan, no matter where or when they appear.
So I see now, like, some of the Kamen Riders, well, all of them, they're like linked. If they all show up and help each other in the thing. Like, it's not like completely different universes, it's all in the same, you know what I'm saying, same line of thing.
The character of Z-Cross and the Showa Riders' battle against the Badan organization would be continued in later specials and Sentai crossovers. With them him over time becoming more and more dangerous. A few alternate versions of the
Okay.
writer's fight against Bada,
Yeah, we gotta have them explosions.
such as the 1982 Shinomori manga and radio play, as well as 2009's Shin Kamen Rider Spirits, a sequel to the popular Kamen Rider Spirits manga. Following the
There's a
airing
manga
of
of
the
it?
single episode, the writer series would lay dormant. Bihiko are abducted by Gorgum, a mysterious cult for
Ew.
mysterious reasons. Both
They are
Kotaro
chopped.
and Nobuhiko
Look at
were
those
born
all
on
those
the
wrinkles
solar
on their
eclipse,
face.
So Gorgum believes that both are Century Kings who have
They
the
have,
power to become
moon
a
crater
godlike
skin.
entity. Both brothers undergo cybernetic reconstruction, which would allow them to use the power of the Century King, resulting in a metamorphosis from a giant grasshopper-like form. Before both brothers could be brainwashed, Kotaro escapes with the help of his foster father. However, his brother cannot be saved. After learning that Gorgum killed his parents,
I'm not gonna lie,
Kotaro
these got some
swears to
interesting
avenge the
stories.
murder, stop the evil cult, and save his brother. Thanks to the power of the Stone of the Sun, which was implanted in him during surgery, Kotaro can transform into Kamen Rider Black. During this series, Kotaro
Kamen
will
Rider
come up against
Black.
his
I
brother,
like that.
called
We
Shadow
love
Moon.
Black over
From
here.
an audition of over 8,000 participants, Shotori Shinomori and producer Hirayama decided that the role of Kotaro Minami
Yo, y'all think I
would
would've
go to
made it?
Tetsuo Kurata.
Low key.
Kamen Rider Black would serve
I could've
as
made it. I could've made the
his
cut out of
one he would
8,000.
continuously reprise in later specials and cameos in Decade and Drive. For his stepbrother Nobuhiko, they would cast Takehito Horiyuchi, who had just finished a successful run in the police procedural Abunai Deka. Both writers would undergo a mutant grasshopper transformation, known as their Bata form. With the help of their respective belts, they're able to transform even further. Nobuhiko's Shadow Moon
Even
form
further.
would be maintained due to the Shadow Changer. His transformation belt
Oh,
that
we
uses
got
the
the
power of his stone
robot
of the
suit.
moon. Kotaro's Black form would be achieved through the use of the Vital Changer. With a successful run of Black, the main cast would be asked if they would like to reprise their roles for another show. 2 weeks following the conclusion of Black, its second season would air, continuing the story of Black, now entitled Black RX.
Black RX. So it's a continuation of Kamen Rider Black.
6 months after the defeat of Golgum and the defeat of the Creation King, Kotaro finds himself working as a helicopter pilot, working for the Sahara family.
Oh, man.
One day, the
I
crisis
could never. I'm
Empire
scared of
abducts
heights.
Kotaro and gives him the opportunity to join their evil alien space cult. Kotaro
No,
obviously refuses
nigga.
and has his
I'm not
Kingstone
going.
broken and thrown into space, where it mutates, giving him new powers and new forms as Black RX. This sequel series is the first direct
I'm
sequel
feeling the
series
all
starring
black
same
fit.
protagonist,
I'm feeling the
whereas
all black
V3
suit.
had Ichigo and Nigo, and each series after had cameos, they were not interconnected stories like those present in Black and Black RX. Along with the new powers came new forms. Black
Ooh.
RX would be more heavily armored than their previous Black form, with a design more resembling the Bata form that he and Shadow Moon shared. The Sunriser, a new upgraded version of his Vital Changer, would store energy from the sun, which he would use to fight.
Oh, that's
Along with
gas.
the
He
space
gets his
form
energy
came
from the
two
sun
new
to fight.
forms and revived Battle Hopper. RX's Robo Rider form gave him an actual gun.
What if
and
it's
the
raining,
ability
though?
to walk like Robocop,
Oh, he got a
and his
gun now.
Battle Rider form gave him the power of goo. Black RX would
So
serve
there's
as the
different
final show of the
forms.
series,
Ooh,
and would
that's
be the
tough.
last series for 10 years. This series, paired with its predecessor, were beloved
Last
not only in
series for
Japan,
10
but
years.
many other countries where the show would be aired. This series would air in Taiwan, Malaysia, Brazil, and the Philippines, and would be adapted into Saban's
Wasn't
Last
in
Rider
America?
in North America.
Oh, here we go.
We'll talk
Okay.
about that one.
Oh, it was but the one in America. So they stopped for 10
Created
years.
For the 20th anniversary of the Rider series, Shin Kamen Rider Prologue, not to be confused with Shin Ichigo or Shin Skyrider.
Why'd they stop,
or Shin
though?
Ultraman, is a bleak, violent, adult-oriented film.
Oh.
This is the product of writers Joe Onodera, the son of Shotari Shinomori.
So this
and
one was
Junichi
getting
Yoshida, who
filthy.
worked also on Kamen Rider Black and
They were
Black
showing
RX.
some
The director,
stuff in this
Makoto
one.
Tsuji, had also worked on both shows. This film follows a group of scientists.
This
and
one's
their
more
test
for
subject
adults.
As their experiment goes wild and gives birth to a new species, the Kamen Riders. Shin Kazamatsuri is a motorcycle racer who volunteered to be the test subject for his father's experiments on cell regeneration. To
Yeah,
fight
you
against
got
diseases
some
such
nuts
as
to
AIDS
steal,
and
bro.
cancer.
Because I'm not
However, their
volunteering
research
for
is
no
funded by blood-soaked money, as the kids who
untested
pay the
disease
bills
and none of
have
that.
ulterior motives.
Oh, yo,
However,
relax.
There's a third party in all of this. The scientist, Onizuka, who decides to merge Shin with the DNA of a grasshopper to create a new species. This test, under the code name
What
Max
kind of
Rider, is all too
freaky
successful as while
crap
Shin
do they got
sleeps,
going
the
on in these
monster he
science
unknowingly becomes
experiments?
is unleashed on the world. For the role of the film's lead, Shin, they cast Shin Ishikawa, who at the time was credited as Katsuhisa Ishikawa. This movie does not stray away from blood, death, and other adult subjects. During its release, the movie ended up in 2 cuts, a censored and uncensored version, the latter of which can be viewed in its entirety.
Oh, they're not playing around in this.
The practical effects are no.
They have the whole movie on
YouTube. Beautiful transformation sequence inspired by the one scene in American Werewolf in London. The story of Shin will later be expanded upon and retold in manga adaptations. The SIC line would provide a sequel of sorts entitled The Beginning of the End of the Beginning, though it does not end too definitively.
This one was rated M for mature audiences only.
To be a well-regarded film.
If you're under 18, close your eyes.
It would serve
I'll do it for you. Don't look.
Films that tell their own stories.
Alright, Kamen Rider Zo.
The second of the Showa trilogy, Kamen Rider Z-O, was released 2 years after the series' 20th anniversary. The film was attributed to be an anniversary production, along with Shin, which was released actually in their franchise's 21st year. In a 2017 interview on his work on Rider, Keita Amamiya stated that he had hoped that the Z-O special would lead to a full series, but unfortunately this would not materialize. Written by Nobuo Sugimura and directed by Keita Amamiya, Kamen Rider Z-O follows Masato Aso as he protects the son of Dr. Mochizuki from the Neonoids, creations of the Doctor with god complexes. Masato would be played by experienced actor Ko Domon, who would also go under the name Tsutomu Sano. After his role in Z-O, he would go back to the world of Metal Heroes to portray the character Sig in Blue SWAT. Sometime before the beginning of the film, Masato also worked as a lab assistant to Dr. Toshihiro Mochizuki, a geneticist who was attempting to create the ultimate life form. However, after he was experimented on by the doctors, he flees only to fall into a pit and fall unconscious for 4 years. Z-O picks up
4 years is crazy.
From his long nap and has an urge to protect a young boy. The film follows Masato.
Girl, imagine how much he missed.
Created by Doras, a mysterious entity with ties to Masato and the Doctor's past. Along with the release of this film, a manga drawn by Kazuhiko Shimamoto would be produced. This served to flesh out the story during its retelling, while changing characters slightly. Shimamoto's name might ring a bell, as in the 1990s, he was contracted by Shinomori to create a new, expanded continuation of Skullman.
Oh, Skullman.
Kamen Rider J is the final of the Showa era films, which brought back director Keita Amamiya.
Yeah, I know about the different eras. This is the last one of this
the last writer property that had Ishinomori involved, as he would unfortunately pass away in January of 1998. J would be the final production to air on television for the next 5 years. For the lead role of Koji Segawa would go to Yuto Mochizuki, who had previously played Tyranno Ranger in Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. J follows Koji Segawa, a nature photographer who one day is murdered while protecting his sister Kana. The fog spirits and
what did he got hit with a cannonball? You got smoke coming out of his stomach?
Lead to the kidnapping of Kana and the death of
whose
Koji.
evil lair is that?
The Earth spirits revive him and tell him to go stop the evil cult of fog. So Koji, now with the powers of Kamen Rider J, embarks to fight the fog. J, a hero who uses the power from the earth, together with his talking grasshopper companion Barry, begin their fight. Before Rider took a 5-year nap, J and Z-O would go for one last walk around the town in the 3D short Kamen Rider world. This short was made to be played at amusement parks that involved Kamen Rider Z-O and J battling a giant revived Shadow Moon, along with their own villains. After 23 years of the series and movies, the Showa era of Kamen Rider would come to a close. On January 7th, 1989, Hirohito died, and the next day his son Akihito would come to his position. The 30-year reign of Akihito would be entitled the Heisei period, named after the hope for peace wished upon the era. The Showa era of Rider is often extended to 1994, as although Shin,
so this was real life, the Emperor
and the
died.
last few episodes of Black RX, all were technically created and released during the Heisei era, they would don the name of Showa. This is in respect towards Satoru Ishinomori, who was involved with the creation of all of these, and after his death on January 28, 1998, every show going forward would now be cemented as the Heisei era. This new era for Rider would begin in the year 2000, with the first new production in the franchise. From here I'll mention
that's how the Heisei era formed.
Split into 2 parts, with Heisei Phase 1 starting with Kamen Rider Kuga and ending at Kamen Rider Decade. Then everything past 2009's Kamen Rider Double up until 2019's Kamen Rider Geo is Heisei Phase 2. Not only is the split split convenient to talk about, but each phase has different feels to them, especially when compared to the Showa era. Phase 1 is known to have more dramatic seasons, despite still being kid shows. You'll easily be able to see that
So it's kind of for kids now.
As more modern seasons.
Well, we love drama,
The storytelling.
don't we? I'll be outside peeking out my blinds like this when I hear yelling.
We do have ever-changing stories with great characters.
Yeah, I'm
and
nosy.
increasingly good action.
Kamen Rider Kuga.
The first of the Heisei era is Kamen Rider Kuga, showcasing a more human drama about regular humans versus monsters. The main writer cooperates and works with the police, and unlike every other Heisei era show, he would be
So these ones are like more drama
Yusuke
filled,
Godai, would be played by newcomer
more like
Joe
actual
Igiri,
story.
a man who would later
I'm
have
guessing.
a love-hate relationship with his role. Kuga was a hit when it aired.
I like
and is
that, I
often
like
cited
that.
as one of the
Yeah.
best Rider series
Hey.
by fans. Although much of the CG has aged considerably, Kuga was a testament to what this new era of Rider could be. Yusuke Godai, drifter and optimist at heart, helps his friend, college student Sakurako Sawatari, with her work in archaeology under Professor Natsume. A mysterious and ancient group who would come to be known as the Grongi kill the professor when he uncovers them. Godai investigates.
Oh, nah, they were mad that they failed and killed the professor?
And the excavation.
Tough.
Clashing with the detective,
They were mad they got a
Kawaii
30
Ichijo,
on the
agent
test.
Rose calls to him, and after putting it on, when he and Sakurako get cornered by the first of the Grongi's monsters, he turns into Kamen Rider Kuga. Kuga began a trend of straying away from the Showa era's grasshopper motif. He would be modeled after a stag beetle, which is most evident in the horns on his helmet. This would carry throughout all of his forms, which, like in Black RX,
I like how they're
each of Kuga's forms
modeled
have
after
advantages
bugs and
disadvantages.
stuff.
Kuga also is shown to upgrade these forms through experience
Insects.
and hardship, with his variations known as the Rising forms, as well as his penultimate form, Amazing Mighty. These would all culminate in his ultimate form, which is apparently too powerful to comprehend. This multi-form trend would continue through and be expanded upon during the Heisei series.
Agito.
Kamen Rider Agito is that of unraveling mysteries, and at the heart of each mystery is a different writer. The man-made Kamen Rider G3, created by the police and piloted mainly by Makoto Hikawa, is tasked with protecting Japan from the mysterious life forms called the Unknown. The star swimmer Ryo Ashihara would use the powers of Kamen Rider Gills to understand both his powers and the death of his father. The final mystery befalls Shoichi Sagami, a young amnesiac man who attempts to figure out his past while battling the unknown entities as Kamen Rider Agito. As their foes get stronger, the riders are brought together. Will they be able to team up to fight against the unknown, or will they clash heads and bring each other down? Its multifaceted, multi-layered story continues to diversify the Rider series. Coming after Kuga, Agito shares some similarities to the series and has some in-universe connections.
Yo, this
The
one looks
G3
really
system
good.
was created to battle the
Cool.
Grongi. However, its use would instead be made to fight against the unknown. The designs of G3 and Agito were also made to resemble Kuga. However, much of the staff and cast have said contrary statements on the validity of Agito being a sequel. Whether you want to see Agito as a sequel or not, it still stands on its own and paves the way for the future of Rider. Agito would also lay a groundwork for the Heisei
Yo,
era,
what's
as was first Heisei
what's
season
considered
to have
the
a
top
summer movie,
5
introducing
Kamen
a
Rider
movie exclusive
series?
Kamen Rider. And while Kuga only had the single rider, Agito will start with at least 2 and increase its numbers.
Kamen Rider Ryuki.
One day, a young investigator, Shinji Kido, comes across a deck of cards and in a nearby window spots a red dragon. Shinji begins to see things on surfaces and is suddenly thrust into a conflict much larger than himself. He's introduced to the Mirror World and the Kamen Riders.
Mirror
there are 13
World.
Kamen Riders who almost battle creatures from the Mirror World using the Advent Decks, which allows them to utilize the power.
Well, why are they
of
attacking
mirror
me if they
creatures.
attack
However,
fight
these
creatures?
are not the only things that must be fought. As in this Rider War, there could be only one survivor. Kamen Rider Ryuki was made to tell a great story for kids and to have them learn about good versus evil. Like Black RX, this series would get an American adaptation in the form of the CW show Kamen Rider Dragon Knight.
Oh, 2003. This was my year.
Takumi Inui, an 18-year-old drifter who one day
This is
had
when
his
I was
bag
born.
containing all of his possessions stolen from him. However, this bag instead carried the Fize gear, a creation of the girl, Mai's father's company, Smart Brain. The two encounter a monster known as an Orphanoch, and it is up to Takumi to fight back as Kamen Rider Fize. Fize would be the first series that the Rider belts prominently speak phrases, with each rider's phones responding to correctly inputted transformation codes. Kamen Rider Agito and Ryuki would have similar ideas, but Fize is where it was truly expanded upon.
This is where they capitalized on that. Kamen Rider
A new
Blade.
battle is underway as the defeated undead are reawakened. Now it is up to Kazuma Kanzaki and Sakia Tachibana, 2 members of the organization board, to reseal the undead using the Rider system. However, this battle royale will not go as smoothly as they hoped, as new friends and foes join in for dominance over the earth. Kazuma can transform into Kamen Rider Blade with the help of the Blade Buckle. Tachibana would use the power of the Garen Buckle, board's first of the Rider belts, to transform into Kamen Rider Garen. Blade's legacy differs from that of the other Heisei series.
Yo!
To Kamen Rider Garen.
He was trying to help you up.
From that of the other Heisei series, as it has been used for countless memes and automags since its release, mainly focusing on the slurred dialogue of Kazuma.
Kamen Rider Hibiki. Oh, I like how this one's shiny.
In the Sengoku period, members of a small village would establish the Takeshi organization that assisted the Kamen Riders, a series of Oni-like heroes that battled beasts called Makamo. These Oni would fight the Makamo for hundreds of years until the present time of 2005, in which the series is set. A man simply named Hibiki is an Oni, and during his fight he meets a young musician named Asumu. Kamen Rider Hibiki shows Hibiki and Asumu's relationship, as Hibiki becomes an unknowing mentor to the young boy. Hibiki's love for its slow, almost relaxing pace, which helps it set apart from other Rider shows. The first half of the series has no
this one's slow paced
and focuses on the growth of his cast. However, with the staff change halfway through the series, many opinions would differ. The writers Shinji Oishi and Tsuyoshi and producer Shigenori Takatera would be replaced with writers Toshiki Inui, Shoji Onomura, and producer Shinichiro Shirokura would take the helm. With this change came a faster, more action-oriented tone, along with the addition of new organized Makamo enemy forces. Hibiki would be portrayed by veteran actor Shingeki Hosokawa, the oldest actor to star as a Rider at the time.
Kabuto.
7 years ago,
I love how it's getting, like, the outfits are getting shinier.
The meteorite were an entity called worms, who could mimic people that they captured or killed. The worms pose a great threat to humanity, so the organization
that's bad.
was made to
They can
fight
mimic
them.
people
The
they
series
captured or
followed
killed.
Arakagami,
So you'll be
a
thinking,
man
oh, it's
who was
this my mom.
Shoji
And then,
Tendo,
you know what I'm
a
saying?
man
It's
with a
gonna know
mysterious
it.
past who used the Kabuto Sector
That
to
wasn't your mom,
transform
nigga.
into Kamen Rider
That was the
Kabuto.
enemy.
The role of the tofu-loving Shoji Tendo would go to Hiro Mizushima, who ventured into many different types of work. He is an award-winning writer and cooking YouTuber. Kabuto is commemorated as a 35th anniversary series for the Rider franchise. The design for Kabuto's suit is that of a Japanese rhinoceros beetle, or Kabutomushi. If this sounds familiar, then you have been paying attention, as the rhinoceros beetle was also the design inspiration for Kamen Rider Stronger.
He was saying something about a beetle earlier.
Kamen Rider Den-No follows the exploits
How do you get stuck in a tree like that, bro?
A mysterious girl named Hana and a group of time demons called Imogen that time travel in a train controlled by a motorcycle called the Denliner, where they have adventures in time and space. Yeah, a time-traveling Kamen Rider. This series plays with time, while also calling back to Japanese folklore through the Taros, all of whom are influenced.
I'm not gonna lie, once they start playing with time, my mind starts working overtime.
Who has only reprised his role once after the conclusion of the series.
They like, is this now? Is this in the past? Is this in the middle? Is this in the future? Is this Kamen Rider Kiba.
In the year 1986, a group of people would hunt creatures known as Fangires. The group included Otoya Kurenai and Yuriyasu, who both shared a device that let them transform into Kamen Rider Iksa. 22 years later, in the year 2008, the son of Otoya, Wataru, would team up with a sentient toy, a bat named Kibat Bat III, to fight against the Fangires like his father before him. Now as Kamen Rider
So this one was like passed on. He's continuing his father's
the 1986 timeline
job.
and the 2008 timeline. Both timelines happen concurrently, as both generations fight against the Fangires are shown. However, throughout the series, revelations are had, and they
after 22 years, they didn't take him out. Job's not finished. Still work to do. Kamen Rider Decade.
In 2009, to celebrate the 10th Heisei series, Kamen Rider Decade would be released. This series follows amateur photographer Tsukasa Godoya, who is thrust into a multi-dimensional adventure as he explores 9 alternate worlds of the Heisei Kamen Riders that he is destined to destroy as Kamen Rider Decade. During
I like the
their
outfit a lot.
They're joined by treasure hunter Daiki Kaito, who can transform into the gun-wielding Kamen Rider D-End. The role of Tsukasa would be played by Masahiro Inoue, who would continue to reprise his role in every important appearance of Decade since the series. In In the city of Futo, there lives a hard-boiled detective and a mysterious boy. The case, the mysterious Gaia memories, USB drives that create dope hands. To solve this case, a special tool is needed, the Double Driver. A belt that allows for Shotaro and his partner Philip to transform into Kamen Rider Double. During this case, another
that was half and half, the split.
aka Kamen Rider Axel. Together, Shotaro, Philip, and Ryu fight against the dope hands, while solving a new mystery that looms over their past. Kamen Rider Double is special through the use of a dual rider system, meaning that 2 participants are needed to make 1 hero. This is also the first of what's referred to as Heisei Phase 2.
Heisei Phase 2.
But that doesn't lessen anything.
Oh, they're throwing them hands. Okay, Kamen Rider. Ooh.
Drifter Eiji Hino just so happens to enter a city right after the desire-eating greed awakened from a long slumber, and meets his new best friend, a floating arm. This arm and the rest of its body are named Ankh, who is a friendly greed and provides Eiji a purpose for his journey through the Oza's driver and 3 core medals.
Oh, I remember this one. This is the African one,
when a mysterious organization
representing the motherland.
Foundation offers to help. Together with the assistance of the Foundation, they protect the city from the greed, while some more nefarious schemes are hatched.
Go back to sleep.
Greed was successful from the start, with toys for the show being sold out for months at a time.
See, I knew like kids were buying these toys like crazy when they came out. Like the toys of the suits and the belts and all that. Kamen Rider Forze.
This space-themed Kamen Rider series celebrates 2 anniversaries. The 40th anniversary of
that's my guy right there, the cool guy with the leather jacket and the hair.
This series
him right there.
Wonders of the stars as we follow
I remember him.
Favorite high schooler Gentaro Kisaragi and the Kamen Rider.
But yeah, his fit is kind of tough though.
The cheerful Gentaro encounters new people, solves problems, fights monsters called the Zodiarts, while making all of the friends he can. Because of Gentaro's goal to befriend everyone in his high school, the main cast, and by extension the Kamen Rider Club, expands greatly throughout the series.
Kamen Rider Wizard.
After a ceremony is held on the day of a solar eclipse, creatures called phantoms are unleashed on the world. It is up to 1 lone survivor, now bestowed with magic powers.
If you know, you know.
Phantoms and
I told y'all in the I forgot which video it was, but this one, I told you this was like my favorite outfit. The black with the red.
Along with the gem cutter Shigeru Wajima and the doll-like girl Koyomi. Together, this team helps.
That right there, I told you that's my favorite outfit in the series.
Dance troops are all the rage in Zawami City, and with them is a game using lock seeds.
So this is the dancing one. I remember the opening to this.
Kota Kazuraba, played by Gakko Sano, a member of the dance group Team Gaim, finds a Sengoku driver and a mysterious fruit lock seed. With this, he learns the true nature of the lock seeds and attempts to correct the rips in reality.
This is the fruit one.
Game. The story of Gaim is split into 4
he turned into an orange,
all of which build off each other to tell a rather complex and interesting story. One day, 6 months before the beginning of the series,
the world just exploded.
Called the Global Freeze. This event caused numerous slowdowns of time, with one police officer, Shinosuke Tamara,
time just slowed down.
This event. The freeze would be caused by the Roimutes, a series of artificial androids who seek to rule the world. The series would follow Shinosuke, played by Ryoma Takeuchi, as he donned the mantle of Kamen Rider Drive and would fight the Roimutes. Shinosuke and the members of the Special Investigations Unit would be assisted by Krim Steinbelt, also known as Mr. Belt. With a mysterious
those belts are tough. I need me one of those.
The threat of the Roimutes increasing, it is up to the Special Investigations Unit and Shinosuke to get their brains in top gear.
Kamen Rider Ghost.
On Takeru Tenkuji's 18th birthday, he is murdered by monsters known as Gamma. However, he is revived on the pretense that he must gather 15 icons within 99 days, or he will forever cease to exist. Using the powers of the icons, legendary historical figures, Takeru battles the Gamma as Kamen Rider
I like
Ghost.
this suit. Kamen Rider Amazons.
In 2016,
oh, is this a remake of the
Amazon?
Amazon?
Would be created. This series would be co-produced by Amazon Japan, which allowed for a much darker, grittier take not seen in the franchise than Shin Kamen Rider. This story follows 2 Amazons, biologically engineered life forms more akin to animals.
This looks kind of fire. Amazon remake. They said the Amazon one was short though. Like it wasn't. It didn't go on for that long. Because the parents canceled it. They're like, we're not letting our kids watch this crap.
Nanaha gives Haruka an Amazon driver. Now in control as Amazon Omega, Haruka joins the Extermination Squad, a branch of mercenaries hired by Nozama to cover up.
I like how you can tell like everything is just darker. You see all the shadows and like the filter they put over it just make it look dark all the time. I like that.
Past would be unveiled as Nozama makes an effort to eradicate all Amazons. Years ago, a mysterious virus known as the Bugster virus infected humanity. In an attempt to combat this, game company Genom Corp would gather a group of young doctors. These doctors are not just any regular doctor though, as they are also gamers. This group would utilize a variety of drivers and gashas
another gaming one. I remember this one.
Beat the viruses to death. A young doctor named Emu Hojo would be one of the
was in the openings and the other video I did.
Emu swears that he will protect the fates of his patients. With these, the future looks hopeful. However, it will not take long for Genom Corp's true motivations to be revealed.
Kamen Rider build. I like this outfit too.
Ago, the opening of Pandora's Box would split Japan into three
Pandora's Box. That's the same thing in God of War.
With no alliance would begin to attack, called the Smash. The genius amnesiac Sento Kiryu would become the hero Kamen Rider build in an
I also said I like this suit too.
While collecting new bottles of essence, which, thanks to the power of a young girl named Misoda, become power-ups for the hero. Sento would encounter Banjo Ryuga, a prison escapee who was framed for
we got
murder. With Banjo,
we got humans fighting
against the Smash, and eventually encounter their creators. With Kamen Rider Zi-O being the 20th anniversary of the Heisei Riders, this series would involve time travel shenanigans much like the previous series, Kamen Rider Decade and Kamen Rider Den-O. One day, high schooler Sogo Tokiwa meets a mysterious girl who gives him an ominous warning. Sogo is destined to become the king of the Kamen Riders and the ruler of the world, the desire he had dreamed about since he was a child. After finding a watch-like object, he is given another warning, this time to avoid the red robot. This really didn't help much as Sogo is attacked by this robot and its operator sometime later.
He didn't even have time to react.
Kamen Rider Gates and the
robot came to him.
Are two people who hail from the future who must stop the time jackers. Eventually meeting a man with a book, Sogo is given the Jiku driver and transforms into Kamen Rider Zi-O. With an ever-shifting past and a seemingly locked future, will Sogo really become the tyrannical ruler of the world, or will his efforts in fighting the time jackers alter his fate?
The Reiwa era.
Now the Kamen Rider franchise has entered its third official era. On April 30th, 2019, abdicated the throne to
so this is the current era right now.
On the 1st of 2019, Naruhito would take the position, with this new era being designated the Reiwa era, a time of beautiful harmony. To celebrate this new era, Toei decided to take a step back to its roots of Kamen Rider for the next series. It would be time to revisit the grasshopper motif with Kamen Rider
back to the grasshopper thing.
This time with a spin to it.
This looks good.
Making further additions, such as using the power of books and fairy tales with Kamen Rider Saber. After 50 years of Rider programs, this franchise has no doubt some of the best action and storytelling in tokusatsu. From a series of pure heroism in the original Rider to issues of conflicting humanity in Amazons, one thing has remained a constant. When injustice exists, a hero will rise to fight against it.
And that hero is Kamen Rider.
These shows have shaped people into who they are now. And with the constant messages of friendship, peace, and compassion, maybe we need more of it in our world of new constant darkness.
Oh, that was a good opening.
And happy 50th
listen again.
New constant and compassion into who they are. Maybe we need more of it in our world.
We need more of it in our world of new constant darkness.
And happy
50 years, Kamen Rider. Oh, that was 3 years ago. Psh, I'm late. Oh wow. So what I noticed is a lot of like the beginning stories is kind of like there's a scientist doing experiments. There's a evil group that does like some weird abduction and turns them into Kamen Rider. The experiment goes wrong. They become Kamen Rider. And yeah, there's a lot of like scientists and evil groups or evil cults. And then like later on, I see it starts to change a little bit, and they like all have different occupations. I like it's just, you know what I'm saying? I like it. But wow, we just got filled with all the Kamen Rider lore. Now I finally understand it more. Maybe we can even start watching Kamen Rider on here. I really want to watch Kamen Rider Amazon. I don't know why, but that one just, you know what I'm saying? That one stuck with me. That one looks fire. But that was great, man. Give me some more recommendations in the comments. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch y'all niggas later.